Bob Vieira from sunshiny Florida, the gunshine state.
Right.
No, that's not right. Hey, we're glad you're here. We got Alex popping in here. We got people popping in here. If you want to join us today, you might as well go ahead and join us because it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to talk about doing delinquent deals, delinquent mortgage, delinquent deals, delinquent mortgage leads, deals, just as advertised. And so, we're going to hop into that. So if you want to pop here into the Zoom room, you can do that. All you have to do is just get in on the www.zoomjustin.com. Okay, www.zoomjustin.com. And, Bob, are you excited about this, man?
I can't wait. Can't wait.
All right, dude. I am excited about it, too. This is a topic that nobody really talks about, I think. I cannot think of one other place that's offering this type of information. And I know we have a bunch of folks that are excited about doing this. They have... they've been saying to us, hey, I'm coming. We got 9 people that said they were... and a bunch more that said maybe, all right? And then there's some folks that didn't even bother to click the button. They just want to be here. And, I get that too. So, yeah, it's going to be exciting. We're just going to go ahead and I think and jump right in. Bob, are you cool with that? Just jumping right in?
Yep.
All right. Well, let's just start jumping right in here. Just give me 1 second, Bob, and I'll be ready.
Yeah. While Justin's getting ready, could anybody not see my screen right now or hear me? All right, cool.
All right, I can see you. I think we're good to go on that. Yes, sir.
Cool.
Okay. Hey, interactive. This is 100% interactive, right?
Yeah, guys, as I'm going through this, it's like presentation style. I just like to have something in front of me and I like you guys to see it too. This isn't like a, professional, presentation. Jump in as I'm talking, ask questions, we'll chat. We could stay on any slide as long as you want. I want you guys to get all the info. So jump in whenever you want. And then there's time at the end of it too. You could ask some questions. So this is a couple parts. Today I'm going to talk about how to find the mortgage delinquent leads. So how to actually, where do you go for the leads? Once you can get to these sources, how do you get them? And then in part 2, which we'll do another day, I'll talk more about how to actually monetize these types of leads. The cool thing about these types of leads is there's always multiple exit strategies. Somebody's behind on their mortgage. They all have a very specific need for their specific situation. Okay, so that's the cool part. Multiple exit strategies, multiple ways to make money from these leads. But again, today we're going to talk about how do you actually find them? How do I find them? All right, I should actually back up a bit. So I'm not a sales guru. I'm not like a lead gen guy. I'm going to go over 5 sources of how I personally get these deals in my business. So this is stuff, this isn't theory. This is exactly what I do in my business. Okay. So let's get it rolling.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so stoked. Thank you for doing this, Bob. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Happy to do it. So I think I know everybody on here. So, I'm not going to go, through my background and who I am. I know all you guys, but, quick reminder, I'm born and raised in PA, Scranton, PA, right outside of it, a small town called Old Forge. I'm a Pennsylvania guy. I went to college locally in the Scranton-Wilkes-Barre area, and then I moved to Philadelphia. While I was in Philly, I was working a corporate job. I was probably the worst employee on the face of the planet ever. I think I lasted like 6, 8 months maybe.
We have that in common, Bob.
Yeah. I was selling commercial tires. I was literally, I mean, I should write them a check for the money I lost. Um, like I said, I think I lasted like 6, 8 months, and then I just quit, jumped into real estate full time as a realtor in Philly. Just like any realtor, I was grinding, trying to just get any listings. Long story short, a lot of those listings ended up being short sales. So I learned on the job what a short sale is, how it works, and I developed a process to get these things done. Um, and then after doing so many short sales locally, I realized, hey, there's a national need for this type of niche. And in 2019, I founded Universal Short Sales.
Great.
Again, I know all you guys, I think you know what we do, but to put it very, very brief, we're a hybrid short sale company. So we process short sales from start to finish as a third party, meaning, we could do the short sale not as the buyer or the seller. As a third party processor, we get paid when the deal closes on the HUD. And then I'm an investor as well. So a lot of these short sales, I look to buy myself, wholesale, flip them, keep them, whatever the exit strategy is. But it's a full service short sale company. Again, we do third party deals for other people. And then I'm an investor as well. So I process them for myself, essentially, for my own investment company. And then I'm not going to go through all that stuff. Again, I think you guys know me. All right. So what is a mortgage delinquent lead? All right. At the very basic level, it is just what it sounds like. Somebody owns a property, they buy the property with a mortgage from a bank, and then they fall behind on the payments for whatever reason. The most common delinquent mortgage homeowners you're going to see, there's people in pre-foreclosure. Okay. Pre-foreclosure means that they're so far behind. Typically, they're past 90 days behind, and the bank files a motion. They actually file the motion to get the foreclosure paperwork started. Okay, so the bank enters into the foreclosure process, hence the term pre-foreclosure. There's, which I didn't put on here, there's people that are on the pre-foreclosure auction block. Okay, so that means that the bank filed a lis pendens. They're taking them through the foreclosure process, and they're so deep into the foreclosure process that they actually give them a sale date of when they're going to auction take their property back and auction it off to the highest bidder. Okay. Another form is an NOD, meaning notice of default. And the NOD is simply when it's before they're in pre-foreclosure. So they're not far enough behind that the bank forecloses, but they do get a notice in the mail from the bank saying, hey man, look, you're a couple months behind here. We don't want to file foreclosure, but I'm just letting you know we're about to do that. So it's a notice that you're defaulting, notice of default. Then there's people that are less than 30 days. Okay. There's actually gold in these types of leads, guys. Whenever you talk to someone that's less than 30 days behind, the chances are that people like myself that constantly prospect to pre-foreclosure list, we miss these people. They're not on those lists. So whenever you talk to somebody like that, there's a good. Yep. What's that? What's that, Jason? Okay, we muted him. Okay, people that are less than 30 days behind. Those are people, like I said, they didn't get a notice of default yet. They're not in pre-foreclosure, but they just started missing their payment. They're coming up on that first month where they can't pay. And there's really good leads in those because they're under the radar, to people that are prospecting to pre-foreclosures. Okay. And then another common mortgage delinquent homeowner is someone who's going to be soon to be behind. So let's say I own a house, let's say COVID hit. So my boss cut my hours. So I'm barely paying the mortgage. I'm able to pay it every month, but I'm hanging on by a thread. Larry calls me up. He says, hey, Bob, how's everything going? I say, look, Larry, I could pay right now, but I'm going to be behind very soon, man. I can't keep making these payments. Those are awesome leads too. I love those leads because again, they're under the radar. You can't market for those leads. There's no list out there that say, hey, buy my list of people that are current on their mortgage that are going to be behind. Okay. There's no way to make a list of those people. So those are awesome leads to get, because then whatever the exit strategy is, you could start it before they're even behind. All right. So this is just from my personal business. What are some typical reasons people fall behind? Okay. A typical reason that I run across a lot is a couple owns a property and they get a divorce. All right. So they own a house, maybe they raise their family in it, and it's at the point now where the marriage isn't working out. Maybe the husband moves out, he's got an apartment unit, and they both can't afford the expenses of this house because there's one person living in it. Maybe she wants to move. It's just a complicated situation. And now that house becomes very expensive. Okay. So we run across, in the short sale business, at least, people that are getting a divorce a lot. Another very common reason is job loss. Okay. Somebody, especially now after the pandemic hit, maybe, the company folded, they lost their job, whatever the case is, but for very obvious reasons, somebody loses their job, they can't pay their mortgage. Okay. Another common reason, which was just added within the last 2 years, pandemic hit in 2019, the end of 2019 into 2020, early 2020, and some people still aren't fully recovered. All right. It's been a while, but it's just a fact. A lot of people still have not recovered financially. So, we run into a lot of those people now. Another common thing is employers cutting people's hours. That could be pandemic related too. Okay. Cutting employees' hours, you're making less money, and then you fall behind on your mortgage. And then something I've been seeing very recently, actually, I don't really know what it's attributed to, but a lot of people own multiple houses, whether it's an investment property that they wanted to rent out back in the day and they're just, it didn't work out. Being a landlord didn't work out. Maybe it's a second vacation home, whatever the case. A lot of people own multiple houses and they just can't keep up. The income from their job only allows them to keep up with one property. Okay, so those are some typical reasons you'll find when you talk to people that can't pay their mortgage. All right, so let's jump right in. I had to start with this one. All right, this is the number one way in my business that I love to find mortgage delinquent sellers. Everybody on here is a part of Justin's group, so I'm sure you've heard me talk about it a million times. You're sick of hearing it, but mortgage modification leads. Guys, I can't beg you enough. Every presentation I do presentations all the time. I do webinars, okay? I beg realtors and investors to follow up with these mortgage modification leads, build a pipeline to get listings and investment deals. I don't think a lot of people actually do it. Okay, so
Bob, I was on social media the other day and I saw this post. This lady was sharing her experience of being disappointed that she was trying to get some refinancing done on some rental properties and some things like this, and she just could not get him. She was getting strung along, and then like, oh well, give us another few weeks, and then they, well, no, we can't do it, and then like this has happened several times. It's put her in a pickle, So is this kind of what you're referring to, or more something different?
Something different. So what you're talking about is a refi. That's someone who wants to refinance. They have a bunch of equity. Interest rates were low. They're going up, but a lot of people are refining. That's what it sounds like she was talking about. Okay. So a mortgage modification is when you're behind on your mortgage and you want to keep the property. All right, guys. So look, if you guys decide to market to pre-foreclosure list or to find mortgage delinquent sellers, if you decide to actively pursue these leads, you're going to run across a lot of people that actually want to stay in their home. Maybe they raised their kids in it. They raised their family, or, it was their house growing up and their parents passed it to them. Typically, there's an emotional connection that makes people want to stay in their property even though they can't afford the mortgage.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
So the number one thing these people try to do is a mortgage modification. All that is they have to fill out this long application, send it to the bank along with their pay stubs, bank statements, income statements, okay? The bank is going to look at this paperwork that the homeowner sends in, and they're going to either let them reinstate their mortgage or tell them no, they can't reinstate their mortgage. But the main point of a mortgage modification is for the homeowner to be able to get new loan terms, hopefully a lesser payment, so that they could pay this lesser amount and stay in their property. All right? So as investors, as we all are, wholesalers and investors, whenever we're on the phone with someone and that homeowner says, I don't want to sell my property, I want to stay in it, what's our first reaction? Okay, dead lead. If you don't want to sell, then what the hell am I? I can't help you.
Exactly.
99.9% of people, I don't have real stats, but trust me, 99% of people, they hang up the phone. Realtors, investors, everyone who you're competing for deals with. I can't stress this enough. When they talk to someone who's behind on their payments, the homeowner is going to shoo them off the phone. They're going to say, thanks, but no thanks. I'm staying in my house. I'm doing a mortgage modification. And they're going to say, okay, good luck, goodbye. It's a dead lead. I'm here to tell you, stop marking those as dead leads. There are gold in these leads. Whenever you talk to somebody, again, and you're going to come across a lot of these people if you decide to go after mortgage delinquent leads, pre-foreclosure lists, etc. You will find a ton of these people. Have a very polite conversation with them, build rapport if there's an opportunity to, and ultimately end the conversation like this. Okay, Mr. Homeowner, look, no problem. I totally get it. I wish you the best of luck on the modification. I hope it works out. If for any reason the bank does not grant you the modification, I know they're tough sometimes. They could be tough to deal with, just as a plan B in case anything happens. Mind if I keep in touch with you throughout the process of the modification just to check in? Almost all the time, because you're being polite, you're being cool about it, you're not trying to jam it down their throat, they're going to say absolutely. Sure. Keep in touch with me. Set a follow-up. I'm going to tell you exactly what I do and it works. Set a follow-up to follow up with that lead in Podio and your CRM, whatever you use, every other week or every 2 weeks. Yeah. How do I do it? Every 2 weeks I do it. The same day, whether it's Tuesday, Thursday, whatever day you talk to them, religiously and systematically follow up with them. Call them and text them. Again, keep it very casual. Hey, Bob Vieira here. We spoke a week or two ago. Just checking in on the mortgage modification over at 123 Main Street. Just want to see how everything's coming along. And then that's it. The answer is probably going to be, they're still looking over my paperwork, wherever. They're going to be frustrated because these things take forever. Mortgage modifications take forever, just like short sales. They take months and months and months, okay? And typically the homeowner, see, like in a short sale, they hire a company like myself to streamline it. When you're dealing with these mortgage mods, the homeowner's doing all this work themselves, all right? So that even makes it take longer typically. So touch base with them. And then over time, what's going to happen is you're going to build up a pipeline of these mortgage modification leads that every other investor is hanging up the phone on because it's a dead lead. They don't want to sell. Before you know it, you're going to have a pipeline that you're following up with every 2 weeks, checking in. And here's the fact of the matter. A very high percentage, and I'm not saying it's a good thing, it's just a fact. A very high percentage of these mortgage mod leads, these applications, they get declined, okay? Wow. Typically, if somebody can't, think about it, somebody can't pay their mortgage. If I can't pay my mortgage, I'm struggling. And I apply for a mortgage modification. Unless something drastically good happens to my finances overnight, I'm still not going to be able to make my payments. Okay. So
So
there,
a
yeah,
modification isn't like they're lowering it down from 1,800 a month to 900 a month. That's
sometimes that's actually a great question, Justin, because sometimes, yes, that's the case. Let's say they approve my modification and my payment's 800 and they say, Bob, look, we think you could afford 900. We'll give it to you at 9. Sometimes that happens, not all the time. A lot of times the modification might get approved, but the payment, believe it or not, is the same or even higher.
yeah, because it rolls in all of the arrears that they've owed and the back payments and the penalties and fees. They put all that in one big. Am I thinking right?
I don't know if they do that all the time. I think what happens is when the bank does this, it's not a person sitting there at their desk, doing the work.
Yeah.
They plug everything into a formula.
Right.
They look at your DTI, they look at, your bank stubs, your pay stubs, and then they compare that against your expenses. There's a lot that goes into it. And I'll be honest, I don't know the exact formula that they use. But I do know that a lot of times when they plug that formula in, for whatever reason, the formula spits out a mortgage payment that's either the same or every once in a while it's even higher.
Wow. Let me help
Yeah.
you. Instead of paying 1,500 a month, how about can you pay 18?
It makes no
You
sense.
know
I'm
what I
telling
mean?
you, it
Yeah,
happens though.
it's strange, and so I imagine there's people that even go through this process. Like you're saying, a large percentage of them get declined. Like, no, you can't have the modification. We're going to go ahead and insist that you either continue the payments that you had, or maybe even we've called it due because it's we're going to go into foreclosure. So either they get declined, or there's probably some that go through, get approved for the modification, and then are like, no, I'm not going to pay more.
Yeah. Yeah, it's either more, sometimes it's more, sometimes it's the same amount, Justin, and sometimes it's even, I'm paying 1,800, I can't afford it. And then they put it through the formula and it comes back at like 16. And they're like,
Yeah,
it's only a couple $100 less. I
right,
still do it.
right. Yeah, so it might not be a solution even for the ones that it does work for, it sounds like.
Might not be. Might not be. I have a lot of cases where I've ended up buying properties or doing short sales for people where that exact thing happened, where the mod got approved. They put them on their trial modification to see if they could pay it. And they're like, I can't afford this. It's the
Yeah.
same amount I was paying.
Well, since this is interactive, we've got quite a few people watching on YouTube. Hey, thank you for watching, and we have a comment here that most people are in denial when they're in these delinquent mortgages. When they're behind on their mortgage, they're in denial. And
100%. Whoever said that, I'm sorry, I can't see the YouTube stream, but whoever said that is 100% correct. A lot of people are. They're in denial about the situation, and that causes a lot of people to have unrealistic expectations. And that's actually a really good point that the person just brought up, because that's even more incentive for you to keep in touch with these modification leads. Because they're absolutely right. A lot of people are unrealistic. They're very emotional a lot of times because they want to stay in their house, and they don't realize that, hey, if my financial situation didn't get better, what makes me think I'm going to be able to make these payments? So that's a great point.
right.
So to kind of wrap this up again, because I went off on a little bit of a tangent there, follow up with these modifications. Again, don't be overly aggressive. Be nice and relaxed, conversational, be friendly. I can almost guarantee you, I don't like making guarantee. I could almost guarantee you that after the whole modification process is concluded, and if the bank denies this homeowner, you will be the only one following up with them, keeping in touch. And when that time comes, when their back's against the wall and they have to sell their property because they have no other options, you will get the deal. You will get the deal because you're building rapport, You're building trust. They're like, you know what, this Justin Cham, this guy, I don't know a lot about him, but he kept in touch with me the whole time throughout the mod process. You know, he's super friendly,
I like
asked me
it.
what I needed,
Yeah.
and then boom, that's who I want to sell
He's a
to.
good dude. I like him. I recommend him to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Bob, I got a three-part question here.
Okay.
Um, let's say I get myself a list of, let's say, pre-foreclosures. The first question is, how do you recommend that I reach out to them? Okay,
Okay.
that's the first question.
All right.
And then the second is, what does that initial conversation look like when I'm talking to them? And then third, are they actually going to volunteer that information to me that they have a mortgage modification? Or how do I get that information out of them?
Those are great questions. The first one I'm going to save because that's a slide. So I'm actually going to show you in a couple slides. It might be the next slide. I don't even remember. One of these slides coming up, I'm going to show you exactly what I do when I prospect a pre-foreclosure. I'm going to plug you into my system. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. To answer the second part of your question, how do you approach them? Right? Was that the second part?
Yeah. What does that initial conversation look like?
Gotcha. Okay. When you're dealing with these people, you have to remember when you're talking to pre-foreclosure leads or you're calling them, these homeowners are getting harassed. They're getting harassed by real estate agents who are also calling them because they're on the pre-foreclosure list. They're getting bombarded by investors sending them letters. I could help you. I could save you. They're getting attorney calls. Hey, file for bankruptcy. Call me immediately. They're getting messages, threatening messages from their bank. My point is these people are typically on edge and very, very stressed. So when you call them, my advice, what I like to do, don't be pushy and aggressive. Okay. Have more of a relaxed tone and get to the freaking point. Don't call them and ask them, hey, how about this weather? How's your day? Don't do any of that. Again, they're getting calls. They're getting threatening mailing letters from their bank. They don't have time for this. They're on edge. Okay. Get to the point, but be friendly and relaxed. So, let's say the guy's name is Jeff. Jeff answers, how you doing, Jeff? It's Bob Vieira. I figured I'd give you a shout. Just want to see if you were considering selling the property over at 123 Main Street. Figured it, couldn't hurt to call. And then boom, just shut up and let them talk. Okay, either they want to sell or they don't. And then the third part of your question is answered after you say that. You let them talk and they'll give you that answer. So if they want to do a mortgage modification, they're going to tell you that. They may not use the word modification, but they might say something like, you know what, Bob, I'm not really interested right now. Maybe check back with me in a couple months. That's a key indicator. If you're talking to somebody in pre-foreclosure, okay, and they tell you, and they seem kind of relaxed for somebody that's in pre-foreclosure and tell you to check back in a couple months, that means most likely they're trying to reinstate their mortgage through a mortgage modification. So that opens up the door for you to jump in and say, oh, okay, what are you doing? A mortgage mod or something?
That's gold.
Okay. And then boom. Yeah. And then you handle it the way I told you to before. You just, okay, listen, best of luck to you. I hope it works out. I know banks are tough sometimes. Just in case they deny it, you mind if I keep in touch? We could help you out with a plan B, make you a cash offer.
Okay, cool. So at no point should I ever indicate to them that I know that they are in pre-foreclosure.
Listen, I get this question a lot on my webinars, and people, I feel like I'm the minority on this. A lot of people would probably say, don't let them know. I don't let them know right away. I don't call them and say, how you doing? It's Bob Vieira. I'm looking at your property. You're on the pre-foreclosure list. So I figured, obviously don't do that.
Okay.
But a lot of them are angrily asking me, how the hell did you get my number? Who are you? Oh, then I just tell them. I'm honest with them. I'm not an asshole. I'm not like, oh, well, shut up. You're on a no, hey, look, I saw you came up on a pre-foreclosure list, and I specialize in these, helping these types of people specifically in these situations. So, I figured it couldn't hurt to call, see if I could help you.
That's gold right there. I like that. Thank you.
be honest with that, just be honest. People, especially in this salesy day and age we're living in, where people are getting internet ads and they're getting cold calls from telemarketers. People are over the bullshit. People are over the bullshit. They don't want to be sold. They don't want a scripted sales pitch. They want to do business with people who are just honest and just forthcoming. Just be real with them. Yeah, listen, I saw you popped up here on a pre-foreclosure list. I specialize in helping people in these situations, so I just want to see if I could help you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any questions on that? I'm going to dedicate a slide to that and a couple more slides. So just so you guys know, but let me wrap up the mortgage mod here. Okay. Be the 1% and follow up. It's probably less than 1%. Okay. And again, this is a question I get a lot. I'm sure someone's thinking this. How do I get a list of these mortgage mod leads? It's illegal for the bank to provide this information. So you're not going to find a list of mortgage mods. Side note, if anybody does, email me. I'll be happy to pay or go half on you, but you're not going to find it. So you're going to have to build this up yourself. Okay. These leads aren't going to come overnight. This isn't a get rich quick thing. You're going to build a pipeline of these leads. And then I guarantee as the modifications start getting declined, it'll slowly start to trickle, and they're really good leads. You will get deals from this. All right. So just to kind of, dive in a little bit deeper, here's a look at my current mortgage modification pipeline in my business. All right. Right now, as we speak, I have 116 active mortgage mod leads. So what that means is from all the leads I have, okay, 116 people currently, and this is active, so this is always changing, but as of today, 116 people told me that they don't want to sell and they're trying to reinstate their mortgage. And I'm following up with them during their active application for the mortgage modification. Okay. So if you think about it, let's say 50% of them get declined, which, to be honest, I don't have statistics on this. I'm not even sure if there are statistics, but just from my experience, that's totally possible. The fact that half of these people will get declined. Before you know it, as these applications are getting declined, I am following up with them, building rapport. And then over time, from these 116 leads, I'm going to have 58, assuming 50% get denied. That gives me 58 hot leads. Doesn't mean I'm going to get the deals. Some of them might say screw it and go into foreclosure. Doesn't mean I'm going to get all 58, obviously. But I'm putting myself in a position where I'm taking 116 dead leads, and I could potentially have 50 plus hot leads to work at. That's the point I'm trying to get across, is everything's a numbers game. And if you build up those modification pipelines big enough, you build a big enough pipeline, it's just a law of averages. It's a numbers game. You will get deals from it. All right. Real quick case study too, and then I'm off of the mortgage mod topic. Property in Tampa, Florida, that I'm currently negotiating right now. I didn't get the deal. Tampa's super hot for anyone who's, familiar with that market. It's a property I want to buy and do an Airbnb with my wife. That's our goal. We want to do that. This is a mortgage modification lead that I contacted 2 years ago. 2 years I've been following up with him. Okay. It sounds insane and time consuming, but I promise you it's not. Because if you do what I told you in the last slide and you check in every 2 weeks, it literally takes 10 seconds. And guess what? Most of the time you're leaving a voicemail and sending a text message because they're sick of hearing from you. They appreciate you reaching out, but they don't want to talk to me every Tuesday, every 2 weeks. They don't want to talk to me. So you're going to leave a voicemail, send a text message, and then follow up in another 2 weeks. So for 2 straight years, I did this. It did not take that much time out of my day. And now I put myself in the position where, we may get this deal. Again, if the market wasn't so crazy, I probably would have got it. But the guy's like, you know, Tampa's insane, so he wants all these bids. But the point is, no matter how long you follow up with them, it will work. Eventually, they're either going to have to get the modification or be forced to sell their property. So the system works. Does anybody have any questions on the mortgage mod? No? Nobody on YouTube, Justin?
No, sir. I don't think.
Cool. All right. So because I'm so obsessed with this topic, I'm going to give you a bonus tip. All right. So this is some second level stuff here. So, all right. Let's say you're talking to someone and you add them to your mortgage mod pipeline like you're going to do. All right. Let's say you're following up with them and, 6 months later, that person finally gets back with you and goes, "Hey, Andre, thanks for following up, man. But, my modification got approved. My bank approved my application. I'm good to go." This is going to sound crazy. Still don't mark it as a dead lead. Don't mark it as a dead lead. It's not over yet. It's almost over. It's not over yet. When a bank grants a homeowner a mortgage modification, okay, they put them on a 3-month trial modification. Somebody's running their water there. Could you mute who's ever doing that, please? Thank you. So they're going to put them on a trial modification period. Okay, so they accept the mortgage application, the modification, then they put them on a 90-day trial period. A lot of people enter into that trial modification period, and unfortunately, they find out that the modification was a mistake and they can't make the payments. They can't keep up with it. I talk to a lot of people who call me up to help them with a short sale or a regular sale. They're just out of pre-foreclosure and they say, "Look, I got approved a modification. They put me in a 90-day trial period to make sure I could make those payments. And I failed. I couldn't do it." Going back to what Justin asked me a couple slides ago, which was a great question, which was a lot of these people, they end up getting the modification approved, but they pay more money or the same amount. Well, a lot of times that happens. And then when they enter the trial modification period, it's done. They can't make the payments. Right. And then what happens is the bank cuts them off from applying again for a mortgage modification. They can't do it again.
So they'll be like, "Hey, we don't even accept payments anymore from you folks. Like, you need to either pay the mortgage in full or we're going to foreclose." It reaches a point like this eventually, doesn't it, Bob?
Yeah. Where they pretty much say, "Hey, look, you have to figure out a way to get yourself caught up." Not necessarily pay it in full, Justin, but get caught up on the back payments. So, like, if you owe $100,000, they're not going to want you to pay the $100,000. They're going to want you to pay the $15,000 you have in back payments to catch you up.
I see.
Okay.
Which is still extremely difficult for somebody that's financially strapped,
Yeah. Almost 100% of the time they can't do it. So when you're talking to these people and they say it's approved, you're actually going to ask them, "Listen, I'll touch base with you during the trial period and, make sure everything's working well for you." Okay? So, because you could still get leads when they enter that trial mod. So that was a little bonus tip that, again, even when the modification's approved, it's not a dead lead. It sounds crazy, it sounds redundant, but trust me, you could still get deals that way.
Now, during that trial period, do you still recommend we follow up every 2 weeks, or do you recommend like once a month at that point?
Tremendous question. I personally, look, whatever works for you. What works for me might not work for you guys. I don't like to do it in 2 weeks because it's pointless, because it's a 90-day trial mod period. So I'll either follow up in 30 days, if he sounds confident, maybe 60. Follow up sometime within that 90-day period. It doesn't matter.
He kind of froze up there. Bob, you froze up. Sorry, man. You kind of froze there for a second.
Oh shit. How about now? Am I good?
Yeah, you're good. Thanks.
Okay, cool. I don't know what you guys heard, so I'm going to answer that again. Andre asked, how often should you follow up when they enter the trial modification period?
Right.
Follow up a minimum 30 days. I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't do anything before because it's kind of pointless because it's a 90-day period. So follow up maybe on day 30 or day 60 to see if they're making their payments.
Good stuff. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'm not frozen still, right? I'm good.
You're good.
I think you're good,
Okay,
man.
cool.
You look
Cool,
good.
cool, cool.
Yeah.
Anything else on the mods? All right, cool. Yeah, guys, I know I'm a broken record, but I cannot stress enough on every webinar I do, and like I do a lot for real estate agents, I beg them to get listings through the modification, and I don't think a lot of them actually do it. If you follow up with this, you're going to build a nice pipeline for yourself. All right, let's get into source number 2 that I love to use, pre-foreclosures. So again, I'm not telling you what you should do. Do whatever works for you. This is the system I personally use. I prospect to pre-foreclosures through call, text, and email system. The order doesn't necessarily matter. I personally like to do phone prospecting, followed by email, followed by text. There's really no rhyme or reason for that order, but you know, that's just what I do. I've been finding a lot of success, to my surprise recently, getting people to respond via email by this. I don't know why that is. My best guess is because a lot of people, they kind of go into hiding, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term. And I think they're just more comfortable answering an email rather than, you know, when you leave them a voicemail about the property that they're falling into pre-foreclosure. That's kind of like an educated guess I have. I really don't know, but the emails have been working as far as getting a response.
Can I ask you like what system that you use? I know that's like a whole other conversation, but
Oh man,
can you just
System.
give me the
thanks
the
to this
name,
group.
you know?
Thanks to this group, I'm a prop stream guy. You guys confer to me.
Ooh,
You like
really?
programmed it in my brain. So prop
Nice.
stream, man. I do the 12 cents per lead skip tracing. That's how I get the calls and text, and then they give you emails. It's amazing. So prop stream all the way.
All right, dude. Cool.
And then I use for the phone system, I use phone.com.
Phone.com. Okay.
Then I mix Google Voice in there too, but you could only have one number at a time with Google Voice.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, there's a million different phone systems. I'm sure you have a suggestion too, but that's what I use.
I kind of do that too. Kind of a potpourri of different things. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, obviously I'm not sending the emails and stuff myself. I'm having the VA do it because that's an insanely bad use of time. So yeah, I would suggest outsourcing that. So pre-foreclosures are right now, believe it or not, they're underused and they're overlooked. We're just coming out of a pandemic where the foreclosure rate in the United States was at a historical low. The rate of foreclosures have never, ever been lower, obviously because of government interference. That's a whole nother topic. I'll try not to go on a rant about that. But because of government interference, they shut the foreclosures down for a while. So when your competition has been looking to say, okay, should I reach out to foreclosures and pre-foreclosures? What do? They look at the stats. And for the past 2 years, guys, the stats have told them not to do this because there's no foreclosures. So foreclosures are obviously starting to ramp back up now. Banks are, getting rid of their backlog, but there's still a lot of investors, wholesalers, realtors that still have their pre-foreclosure prospecting on the back burner. So there's always going to be a bit of competition with these, but I'd say right now, compared to like historically, the competition on these types of leads is still pretty low, relatively speaking. Okay. So obviously line up them now, get going, you know that. And I put watch your tone here, okay? Andre had a great question back in the modification slide, and I'm just going to reiterate on that. When you're talking to these people, you get them on the phone. Don't be overly aggressive. You never want to come off. Again, these people are very vulnerable. They're annoyed. They're stressed. You don't want to come off as a greedy investor that's trying to capitalize on them not being able to pay their mortgage. You don't want to come off like that. Okay? You want to build rapport. Come from a more relaxed, hey, I could help you. I specialize in these situations. I just want to reach out, see if we could help. That's the vibe you want to give off when you're talking to them. And the system that I'm giving you, again, this isn't something that I'm like this is what I'm doing in my business. So this actual system, the call, text, email using PropStream and phone.com or whatever phone service you want to use, this system right now is getting responses. There's a caveat. Just like any kind of prospecting, it's a numbers game. I'd say more so with pre-foreclosures. A lot of people don't answer their phones. If you or your VA is prospecting, it's a numbers game. If you're not in a market right now that has tons of pre-foreclosures yet, I never want to say don't pursue it, but you're going to have to touch the list a lot. And then maybe add in some foreclosure auction leads and add some leads in to beef your numbers up. Because again, the conversion rate of people who you're actually going to get on the phone is going to be very low. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Prospecting to pre-foreclosures is a numbers game. Questions on this, guys? All right, cool.
Well, yeah. What is your touch sequence look like? I know you say call, text, email, but like what is the frequency? How are you actually doing that?
So I like to do it. I'll be honest, I don't have it down to a science yet. Right now I do it every 30 days. So let's say I call. So okay, let me back up. When I call, my VA emails like almost immediately, like very soon after, because I want my voicemail to be fresh in their head. Like oh yeah, that guy did call me. So I do that almost immediately, but like how many times I go through, usually I try to do every 30 days, but it gets a little tricky because the property might not be in pre-foreclosure anymore either, you know? So I'm still trying to get that part down to a science, but right now I try to touch every 30, sometimes even a little bit more aggressively, to be honest, but I'm still playing around with the frequency.
Okay, great.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, cool. All right, so we got mortgage mods. We have pre-foreclosures. This one's really cool too. So this is one I kind of like pulled out of left field earlier on in the pandemic. I was like, so I was sitting there at my desk the one day and all this madness is going on, you know, with the pandemic. I'm like, how could I don't want to say capitalize because that sounds terrible, but how could I like come up with a system that is creative during these times? Okay. And I started doing this on PropStream. And you'll notice at the end, I said PropStream screwed us because they took away this tool. But anyway, so what I was doing was I was using PropStream at the time, and I was using the MLS in PropStream. I was going back in time. You guys could still do this. You just can't use PropStream. Go back in time to right before the pandemic started. So like what I was doing the end of November 2019, right before COVID hit. When did it hit? In like March or whatever it was, 2020?
Yeah, March.
There you go. So I was going back to the MLS listings, properties listed on the MLS for short sale right before it hit. Okay. You're not going to get a ton of leads, especially it's going to depend on your market, because your market might have more short sales or less short sales than others. But if you're in a market where there was a decent amount of short sales being listed before the pandemic hit, go back in time, find those failed listings. Because remember, people that were behind on their payments. A lot of people were in a lot of trouble. COVID hit. It was kind of a saving grace for these people. They pulled their property off the market because they're protected from foreclosure. They entered those forbearance periods and they were good. All right. So what I did is I went back in time. I found these people. I skip traced them. I called them up. I said, hey, look, I noticed you were, at one point in time, you wanted to sell via short sale. Are you still interested in that? More or less, that's how the conversation went. And it was really cool. I ended up getting a bunch of deals this way. Well, relatively speaking, a couple deals from the small list that I called because there's only so much. Okay. You're going to have very low competition. Maybe other people were doing this. I didn't get this from anyone else. I kind of just thought of this up. So you'll have low competition. You'll probably be the only person doing it. Maybe other people will, but I doubt it. Now, there's going to be a lot less leads. The list of people isn't going to be gigantic because it's very, very niche. We're going after a niche group, but the conversion rate is super high because think about it. These aren't random people you're calling asking if they want to sell. These are people that for a fact, because you're seeing with your own eyes that in the end of 2019 or whenever the case was, that they had their property for sale for short sale. Okay. So there's hidden gems here. Again, less leads, but a really high conversion rate because these people for a fact wanted to sell and they were in trouble. Okay. Now I was doing short sale listings because I like short sales, but you could do it with auction leads. You could do it with people who were in pre-foreclosure that maybe had a lot of equity, but they were trying to sell on the market. Okay. You don't just have to do short sales. You could do that same system with pre-foreclosure and auction leads. And again, I was using PropStream. PropStream screwed us. I know Coach Nick was explaining it, broke it down for everybody on why they no longer had that data. I don't, I can't explain it as nuanced as him, but all I know is you can't go on PropStream and look up failed listing data anymore. So use your local MLS, whether you guys are a realtor yourself, or I'm sure as investors, you have relationships with realtors, figure it out, be resourceful, but I would suggest doing this. Okay. Again, go back in time. It's going to take a lot of legwork. You're going to have to maybe pay a realtor to let you do it, whatever. I would highly suggest doing this. Until PropStream cut it off, I was personally doing it. I got multiple deals from this.
So maybe like a $50 Amazon gift card or a Starbucks card or something. Or maybe everybody's related to a realtor now, I find. Isn't everybody related to a realtor? Like everybody has someone in their family that's a realtor now.
100%. Or, if you decide to mix some short sale listings in there with the pre-foreclosures like I was doing, every short sale has to have a listing agent. So you tell the listing agent, hey man, give me access to these, let me go back in time, use the MLS, and any listings I get are yours. So,
wow,
you could always do that. Yeah. If I was a realtor, that's a no-brainer. It's not costing anything.
And it's not going to take them a long time to pull up this information and email it to you. But when it comes, it's not going to come with phone numbers, though, is it?
Nope. You'll have to do that legwork. Like I said before, it's, this is a method that's super cheap. It's not going to cost you anything. It's just hard work. You got to put in the work, put in the sweat equity. But if you do that, you will get deals from this. And again, don't get caught. I just want to reiterate this. Don't get caught up on failed short sale listings. Again, I'm just telling you what I was doing, but I'm a short sale guy. Those are the deals I like. If you're in a market where there wasn't a ton of short sale inventory yet, you could do this method with pre-foreclosures, auctions. You could get creative. Do it with the types of listings you guys like. But the main point is you're targeting people who were in financial trouble, behind on their mortgage, right before the pandemic hit, and save them from being foreclosed on. Because a lot of these people, guys, some of them, were able to overcome their financial hurdles and, get it together and they're back on track. Fact of the matter is a lot of the people have not. So they're still in trouble. They were trying to list and they're still in trouble. So questions on
Hey,
that?
hey, Bob, what exactly is an auction failed listing? Can you explain that?
Yeah. Someone who is so deep into the pre-foreclosure process that their property is going to be listed for auction very soon, usually within, 30 to 60 days. So instead of selling to a cash investor for a quick sale, they hire their realtor and the realtor tries to list it. The same thing. They're just listing it in X amount of time.
Okay, so it's not technically an auction, it's just a listing.
Correct. It's a listing before the auction date. So what the bank does, it's a little confusing too. So I see where you're getting hung up there, because if it's an auction, then doesn't that mean the bank took it back? So let's say I owned a property, 123 Main Street. I'm in trouble. The bank calls me up and gives me an auction date of, what's today? The 12th. Let's say they give me an auction date of June 12th. Okay. Just because they gave me an auction date of June 12th doesn't mean that they took my property back and they're going to sell it. All they're telling me is, hey man, on June 12th, time's up. We're going to auction your property off on June 12th. But until then, if I could figure something out, then I'm good. I still have that 30 days to try to sell it. What a lot of people do is they might not be familiar with, the We Buy House stuff. So they might call their friend who's a realtor and say, hey, you got to list and sell this thing for me before June 12th. Does that make sense?
Okay, now how would we determine from the MLS that it was a quote unquote auction failed listing?
Every MLS is different. You have to look in the description. When you look at the failed properties, you can see in the description. Most realtors, most ones, that are good and that have common sense, if they're listing a property, they're going to tell you, hey, hurry up. We need cash offers at X. This thing's going to auction. So typically they're going to say that in their description.
Okay, so if we're looking at the MLS, it should be like maybe expired or canceled. And then in the remarks, we would see it was short sale or something like that, or auction.
So with the auction, you'll see it in the remarks. With the short sale, most MLSs, the vast majority, even if they don't have it in the description, there's like a tab you could click so it goes in the short sale category. It'll
Okay.
either say short sale or third party approval, something along those lines, like, contingent upon third party approval, it'll say.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, but every MLS is different. So, but like the vast majority that I've seen, it'll say one of those two things. Anybody else on this?
Great questions.
Yeah. These are awesome questions. Then I leave the floor open at the end for anybody to, fire away. So if you're waiting, that's cool too. All right, let's move on to number 4. Become known as a specialist. So again, this is something that isn't going to cost you any money. It's just going to cost you focus and sweat equity. So when it comes to pre-foreclosure leads and homeowners that are behind on their mortgage, a lot of investors and wholesalers, believe it or not, when they get these deals, they don't try to monetize them at first. They might not know what to do, because in a lot of these situations, you have to deal with the bank. A lot of people are uncomfortable with that, or they're unsure on a couple of things. So if you market yourself to your local investment community and your network as, hey, I specialize in helping people that are behind on their mortgage. I got a short sale guy. We could help them do a short sale if they're underwater. If they have a bunch of equity, I know what to do. I know how to send the authorization into the bank and talk to the bank. If they need to do a sub 2, I know how to structure those. I have those resources. If you market yourself to your network that you're the pre-foreclosure expert, a lot of investors, wholesalers, and realtors are going to take their complicated deals and they're going to bring them to you. They might not give them to you. Obviously, they're going to want a JV. Maybe you'll pay them a referral for it, whatever. But if you could market yourself just through word of mouth, Next time you're at your RIA, and you meet a new investor, hey man, by the way, if you ever come across it, with the market shifting, there's a lot of people that are in trouble. If you come across someone that's behind on their mortgage payment and it's kind of a complicated deal, you don't know what to do, bring it to me. We'll partner up on it. Okay. It's just that easy. If you tell enough people that in your local market, you'll start to get deals just from word of mouth. And then you'll have tons of JV opportunities with other wholesalers, investors. You'll have realtors that will maybe bring you a deal, and, maybe they'll say, hey, look, just make sure I get the listing on the back end or something. Whatever the case is, just by word of mouth and being a specialist in this arena, that'll be a whole nother lead generation source that you could build yourself. And then also, I added here at the end, when you're talking to the seller, keep this in mind. When your competitors are trying to get the same deal that you are and the seller's behind on their mortgage, all your other competitors are giving the same generalist speech. Hey, we buy houses cash. We could close quick. All that stuff is great. There's nothing wrong with it. But I could almost promise you that if you're on the phone or you sit in that living room with the homeowner that's behind on their mortgage payments, and after the last 10 investors just gave that speech, and you come in and say, hey, look, just like everybody else, I'm an investor. I could pay all cash. I could close quick. But look, everyone could do that. What I could bring to the table is your specific situation. Guys, this is very powerful. If you could sit there and say your specific situation, I specialize in helping people in, there's a very high probability the homeowner is going to be comfortable giving you the deal compared to the other people who are just making general cash offers. They're going to be more comfortable. They're going to have more confidence in you getting the deal done because, again, you're a specialist who specializes in helping in their specific situation. So sell yourself like that to the seller when you talk to them.
That's great.
All right. The fifth and final one here, forbearance leads. All right. So this is really, really cool statistics that I found. So right now we hear a lot of talk that, foreclosures are coming back and forbearances are over. You can't get COVID forbearances. I have to admit, I bought into that a little bit too in the beginning until I read the data, because the data tells all. So I was reading an article from the Philly Federal Reserve. So, it's legit. It's coming from the Fed. Right now, there's around 700,000 loans that are in an active forbearance. That is extremely high compared to what the news outlets want us to believe. Okay. And what's even crazier in this article is that 84% of those, out of that 700,000 plus, 84% are expected to expire in June. So what this means is, again, if you're focused and you want to market and get more mortgage delinquent deals, if that's what you're focused on, just like the mortgage modifications, you will run into a lot of people in forbearance. It's just the law of averages. It's a numbers game. When you run into these people, remember, forbearances don't last forever. They might last a while. They might get extended a couple times, but eventually the road's going to come to an end. So take the modification system I explained in the first slide, okay, and use that same system. Build a pipeline of everyone you talk to that's in a forbearance. Build a pipeline of these leads, work it the same way you do with the modification. And again, over time, you're going to build rapport, you're going to build trust, and you will get these deals. You will get these deals. And that's all I got for you. So if anybody wants to ask questions, fire away.
Good stuff. I like that. It's like being a specialist. I like that feeling of being a specialist.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, it's a great way to sell yourself. Not that you ever want to lie to the homeowner. I would never say that. But even if you've never done a pre-foreclosure deal before, if you know you have the resources to help this person and get it done, hey, look, all right, if you feel bad saying I'm a specialist, say, me and my team have a lot of experience with this, but you'll get deals that way by just explaining that you're a specialist and can solve their specific problem.
I got a question here on YouTube. It is from Max Hernandez. Hey, thanks for watching. Is it worth checking pre-foreclosure files directly at the courthouse?
Yeah, that's a shit ton of work. You could do it though. People do that. Yeah. I would suggest, using your time wisely and use online resources that we're blessed with in this day and age. But you can do that. Yeah.
It seems like that would be a lot of work. Yeah.
It's a lot of work, man. I remember I tried doing that once when I had no idea what I was doing in real estate. When I was in college and I was just like, oh yeah, this like wholesaling thing sounds cool. It was like one of those things. And I went down to our local courthouse and I was there for hours, and like the amount of leads I was able to get for how much time I spent there just did not it just didn't make sense.
It didn't add up, huh?
No.
Well, we got quite a few.
I would suggest doing it, just being like wise with your time and, using like PropStream or something where like they just do all the work for you and you're paying for the convenience.
Oh yeah, you can't beat PropStream. I love PropStream.
I love it now too. I'll be honest. I got on it just from hearing you guys, and I love it.
Dude, that's
It's
cool.
so awesome.
I'm glad we brought you over.
Yeah.
I don't know how you survived before you found PropStream, man. What did you use?
Me either, dude. I don't know.
That's exactly how I feel.
I was like a lost puppy.
It's great. Well, we've got several people here in the Zoom room, and Bob, we've had a lot of folks watching on YouTube and various other platforms. Like right now, in fact, we've got probably close to 18 people. It looks like that I can tell. I mean, and it doesn't necessarily aggregate everyone for me. But so if you're out there listening and you got a question and you can't join us in the Zoom room, then go ahead and just put it in the chat where you are, and let me see if I can if I can find it. I'll ask for you. But anyone here in the Zoom room have questions or anything? Anybody bold enough to unmute and maybe to even turn your camera on and ask your questions? Anybody got a question, or you all feel like experts on the topic now?
Yeah, don't be shy. There's no stupid questions either. It's only good questions.
Okay.
Hey, I just wanted to say that great stuff, Bob. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason. I'm glad you glad you got value. I hope everybody got value out of that.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to see this recording, right? Because I really didn't get everything up, Justin.
Oh yeah, totally. We're live on YouTube, so you can just go right over there on YouTube and pick it up anytime.
All right, cool.
It's cool.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I'll be doing too.
Awesome.
I had to turn my camera off and go to the restroom once.
You broke the seal? Man, you can hold it?
Yeah, and I came back and I sat down and I put the headset back on and you literally said, is there anyone on YouTube, Justin? And I was like,
I was just making sure you weren't sleeping. I was testing you.
I was like, oh, wait a minute. How freaky that I would come back right when he asked me. So I was like, no, I don't think so. I tried to play it off. Did it work?
Yeah, you got me. You shouldn't have said anything. Yeah.
Well, anyway, it's been good. Anybody with questions here in the Zoom room? Larry from Illinois, Andre. It's great to meet you, sir. What part of the country are you from? You mind telling us?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I'm glad to be here as well. And awesome to meet you guys too. I'm from the I'm licensed in the Philadelphia and the South Jersey market. So I'm licensed in Pennsylvania and New Jersey.
Wow.
Cool. That's where I cut my teeth, man. I'm from right outside the Scranton area, but I started in Philly. Like I'm still licensed in PA. I don't sell any property, but I mean, I was in the Philly market selling properties for 3-4 years.
Awesome, awesome. I grew up in Philadelphia. I now live in the Williamstown, Sicklerville area, but I grew up in South Philly.
Beautiful.
Small world.
I love
Small
South
world.
Philly. So many
Absolutely.
good restaurants in South Philly.
But I'll have both of you
Absolutely.
know I've never been to any of those places. So it's not that
Philly's a
small.
great city. Philly's a great city.
That's what I hear.
Hey, and Andre, all respect, man. You sound like you're from South Philly. That's a
Yeah.
good thing.
That's cool. It's
Thank you very much.
I love it. Yes, sir. Yep, I love it.
It's
I
cool.
should-
I was gonna say South Philly or like New York. I could get like a New York vibe too, you know?
I get that too. It's three. It's either the Philly, the Jersey, or the New York. Those are the three I always
Right.
get, especially when I travel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love
Well, well, it's great to meet you. And thanks for being here, man. Anybody else with a question? Anybody? I don't see anything in the chat here. We have quite a few people watching on the platforms. I guess you guys are just enjoying hanging out with us. You didn't have any questions. So anyway, I guess anything you want to add to that, Bob, or you feel like we're about wrapped up here, or what do you feel like?
You can leave my contact information.
Oh,
for
I would
anybody
love to
can
do
reach
that.
out to.
I would
You
love to
know,
do
in
that.
case anybody wants to reach out.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of ebooks. So I'm trying to think which one would be most beneficial.
So how do they get
Yeah.
that? By going to the website?
Yeah. Go on my
Okay.
website, or honestly, you could just drop my email in there, Justin. You have it, right?
Okay. Yeah, I'll put the email here.
Yeah.
Tell me what it is, man. Just right
It's
now.
here, let me, because my last name's tricky, so let me just
No,
put
I
it
know
in.
how to spell your last name. I see it right here on the
Oh,
screen.
really? Yeah, vieracompanies@gmail.com.
COMPANIES
Yep,
At
at Gmail.
gmail.com.
Yeah.
Vieira Companies at gmail.com.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on YouTube, I'm going to put it right here at the top of the screen, on a little ticker that's running across. So everybody should be able to see Vieira Companies at gmail.com. And then also I put universalshortsales.com. If you
Yeah,
guys want to
cool.
go visit
Yeah.
the website.
Yeah,
Yeah.
check out the site. And then I have a bunch of ebooks. Reach out to me, anybody listening on YouTube, if you want an ebook. So one that I think will be beneficial is when you're talking to all these people that are behind, some of them will need to do a short sale, right? They'll be underwater. I have a book that I wrote for homeowners, telling them, breaking down what the short sale process means for them. Pretty much it's a great tool for you to have in your Google Drive for the next time you're trying to get a deal that's going to be a short sale. It'll almost guarantee that you're going to win the lead because you're coming prepared, giving a literal ebook to the homeowner. It's like a small PDF that breaks down everything. You'll look like an expert and you'll get the deal. So reach out to me if you want that. I think that'll be a good one to send out.
I think that's a great idea. Everybody go to universalshortsales.com or email Bob. Bob's our resident guy here. I mean, we love Bob. He stops in the club every couple weeks and visits with us. He is our go-to resource for all things really concerning the bank or foreclosures or pre-foreclosures or short sales or, all that stuff all that hairy stuff, that we like, we like to, hey, Bob, can you help us? And he's always there. So, feel free to reach out and get to know Bob too. He's one of our favorite people. And I'm real grateful that he was, willing to come on and do this with us today. I would love to see Bob do something like this all the time, to be honest with you, like maybe even every week. But that would be asking a lot. But but Bob has got a lot of knowledge.
Listen, I'd be happy to do that as long as you guys are getting value from it. I want to make sure that stuff I'm saying is valuable and you can implement it and make money and grow your business from it. So if there's topics too that you guys want me to hit on, let me know when I hop on Justin's. I'm always on there. Just tell him or me, and I'll make a little presentation based off that. Whatever I could help you guys with.
I say that, Bob, because you have a lot of knowledge, but also we are really kind of I think at least I am very interested in learning more about working with pre-foreclosures and just getting better at it. because, that can be kind of a tough, mentally, like hey, I'm calling these people that they might, I don't know how they're going to take this. I've never said this before. I've never done this before. I feel like this is a topic that all of us can come up in our game. And so, and it's kind of a big deal out in the world right now. And I'd hate to miss the bus. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Especially now, a lot of the banks, they're turning that faucet back on. So there's going to be a lot more pre-foreclosure situations and foreclosure situations, because they have a backlog. So
yeah. Well, appreciate you, dude. If there's no other questions or anything, I guess we can just call it a wrap for today.
Yeah. Hey, when do you want to do part 2? When I could show exit strategies, the part 2 of this.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do part 2 same time next week. And
I'm in.
We'll be talking exit strategies next week.
Yep.
And so everybody, part 2 next Thursday at noon Central Time. Why don't you just make a plan to join us at www.zoomjustin.com. Just come on in here in the Zoom room at that time, 12 o'clock Central Time, Thursday next week.
Cool.
All right. Is that right? Everybody cool with that?
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
good.
Hey, Bob. Appreciate you, man. Love you a bunch.
Yeah.
You did great today. Thanks, sir.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Bob and Justin.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody.
Guys, take care.
Yep.